All right, we've got is a Samsung gas stovetop and oven, and the issue we're having is that the oven will not light. All of the burners on top will light, going on there, but the oven will not light. And what happens is when you go up and you push bake, and I say start, it'll drop down to 150, and it'll just sit there. All right, so I'm gonna hit a quick pause on the video here. The problem I ran into with this project is that day that it showed up, which was Thanksgiving. So there was a whole bunch of things that I was doing kind of not thinking about making a video, and so some of this video actually ended up being shot before and after things were done, and so it doesn't have a really good timeline, but I still wanted to capture the gist of what was going on. This point here, what we're going to be getting into is I highly suspect that the igniter for the oven fuel rail is not working, and that's really what I'm going to get at next. Is you'll see me get into, you're going to see me pull the fuel rail out or the gas rail out, and the igniter's not on there because I've actually already removed it, but I went back and shot video about how I got to that point in the oven. So it's a little bit jumbled, but I wanted to explain kind of what was going on here so it didn't confuse people. What we're going to do is give you a quick rundown on how you get into all of this that I've already got apart. And as you look at the oven, you get in, you're like, well, where would I go? Well, put all your little grates up there. You got this first little guy here that you'll lift up. I want to be careful, my screws down here. And you'll get that lifted out. And what you've got just a couple screws, Phillips head screws, that are holding that in the back. And then you've got another one right here, and that's got a couple of Phillips heads down here and there. That just lifts up, kind of lifts out as well. It has a little way that it kind of fits in there. And then this burner tube here will be finagled down in there. It'll be kind of sitting somewhere in there like that. And you've got a Phillips head down in here. Got a Phillips head holding up there. There's an electrical connection underneath that you have to undo by getting the warmer box pulled out. And then you just got to reach up in there. It's not too bad. You got to reach up at the back there, pinch and pull the connector apart. Then you can work this all out. You'll kind of pull it up. You'll pull it out. And then that igniter gets mounted here. You'll see it just kind of mounted up on there. Unscrew it and put the new one on. We'll do the test, which will be in the video coming up next. And then I'll also show you when you're putting this back in, how to make sure you get this gas portion, the little gas connection connected in the back down below. It's not difficult to do, trust me. Very, very easy job to do. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick jump out of this portion of the video and into a separate piece of video where I actually did the troubleshooting on the igniter to show how I figured out that the igniter that was malfunctioning, that it actually was bad. And then I compare that with the new igniter to verify that I know, pretty confident that I had the root cause for why the oven wasn't lighting. So let's jump into that troubleshooting video, and then we'll come back to all the reassembly and putting the things back together again. So the one on the right is the one that is malfunctioning. The one on the left is the one I just got off of Amazon. I'll have that link down below. And basically what this unit does, this is the igniter. You've got a carbon conductor inside there. When you call for the bake on, the electronic board sends current through this little carbon conductor, and it begins to glow hot. When it gets to a certain temperature, then the oven will also turn on the natural gas or propane, whatever you're using as your fuel source, and ignite. So this was never getting up to temp, and so therefore not igniting, right? No gas, no heat, no nothing. So what I wanted to show you is what I checked is I wanted to check the resistance on this. And on my multimeter right now, I'm just gonna go over to the 2000 ohm scale, and I have it, you can see I'm connected in, and I'm reading an open. which means somewhere on this igniter there's an open. Now sometimes these things will have little micro cracks through them that you can't quite readily see, and other times they actually will fail inside here, and that's what you end up with. Just to kind of show you, I just touch the leads together here. You can see I've got 0 ohms. So you should have some resistance here. I mean, you're going to need some kind of resistance on that carbon conductor. So I'm going to show you what the new one reads. And we'll just, it doesn't make a difference which way you plug in. Okay, you've got about 100 ohms. All right, and I'll switch them around just so you can see that doesn't make a difference which way you plug it in. 100 ohms, okay, so it doesn't matter. So clearly I've got an open somewhere on this guy here. So when you have an open in an electrical circuit, you're going to get no current flow, and with no current flow, nothing's going to happen. And so this will go in the trash. We'll put this one in and we should be good to go. This one here came with either wire connectors right out of the box or the actual electrical connector. And so I will just push those into here. You can actually just, let me just see if I can bring it up there. You can see the little barbs. Just let me get over there. You see the little barbs kind of sticking out in the end there? Kind of flared out. What will happen is you push it in the connector, you'll push through, and then they snap back in, and then they hold. You can't pull them back out. So we'll just do that. Give them a little tug. And now I've got exactly what came out of the oven. And I'll show you how this gets connected back into the oven, and then we'll test it, make sure that it's good to go. Now, point to note on this. Do yourself a favor, don't mess with this. Don't touch that little carbon rod in there. You don't want to get any like oil or contamination off your fingers on there. That will affect things. And they actually are quite brittle. So again, you don't want to be touching it in any way, put any micro cracks in there that could fail down the road. Just because of the normal use of the oven, you touching that, putting a micro crack in there will exacerbate and get worse over time. So let's get this back in the oven. All right, so let's get this igniter back on here. So let's see the orientation here. Wires are going to go with the elbow, with the igniter or that carbon rod facing towards the gas tube. Sandwich those together. Make sure they're tight. All right, so now we want to get this down into the stove, get the gas connection in and the electrical connection done and connected down underneath. So let's move down to the bottom area here. So looking into the stove here, we know we've got to get the electrical connection down in there as well as the gas connection down in there. And I'm just going to kind of start this, get it kind of semi-situated there. And then we're gonna get down underneath. Get this out of the way, we'll get the warming tray out. Kind of lift up and out. All right. So you can see over here, this is our little tube coming down, and this is what we got to come. Look at this. This is what we got to come over here. All you need to do is grab that, just kind of work it right over there, and we're gonna go up and check up top here. You can see we know we're on there because our screw hole right down there is lined up. Our electrical connection. You can see there's a flat top. You have to look really, really close up where my nail is. So that flat top, so I've got to flip it around and go in that way. Just go until it snaps So look in that connection, you'll have a flat side and then a rounded side for each connection, and they match up down there. All right, we're done down there. We can get the warming tray put back in. Push it in there. Open this back up. Little tip here, you may want to use a magnetic screwdriver for this, just to make sure that that screw doesn't fall down in the back there. And then we've got one down here we're going to put in. Let's put in our next one. Again, those little notches in the back. You can pull them just a little bit out in fours, and that will line up your two holes down here. One here and one over here. Last one here. This has got the tabs that are towards you. Lay it down in there. Two screws in the back. These don't have to be cranked down. All right, now that everything's back together again, let's give her a try here. Bake 350. Start. I can see it glowing down in there. That means we got action going on there. I think I just heard it light. Yeah, and I can feel the heat. You come in all right, so that fixed the problem. So I hope this helps somebody out. Very simple fix, and checking that little igniter down there and actually getting at it to remove and replace it as well. So I hope you found this video informative. You learned something. I believe the same thing works for the broiler portion too. I believe the broiler has the same kind of setup and same igniter. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's similar. The stovetop igniters, they have separate modules used for igniting, which I believe are on the back of the stove. But hopefully I don't have to address any of that anytime soon. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Appreciate you watching the video. You can drop any questions or comments down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Dutch out.